God's been good to me my whole life. And I have news for you. He that has cared for me in the past, He will care for me today. And if I could do nothing else, even though I go through death, even there, I will place my weight in my faith and lean on everything God has done for me from birth till this moment in my life. If we're not careful, we get caught up in all that's negative. And it seems like to me that's all the news media knows. They try to manipulate our thoughts and our emotions for profit. Why don't we stick with the good news of the gospel? If we're not careful, we can get caught up in the world's values and its systems. And sometimes we can look at God and say, God, you've done this and you've done this. Why aren't you doing something now? And Lord, isn't it about time for you to make something happen? And we can look at it like that. It's easy to forget sometimes God's grace every day, God's watchfulness every day, God's purpose every day, God's plan every day, God's promise for the future. Saints, ladies and gentlemen, this morning, in a world filled with tragedy and selfishness and iniquity, driven by greed, riddled with war, and filled with cynicism, let the genuine people of God remember the record. Let us listen to Job. Though God slay me, finish it with me, yet will I trust Him. Listen to Abraham as he cries and asks toward the God of heaven, is there anything too hard for God? And 2,000 years later, Jeremiah said, there is nothing too hard for God. You know why? Because that which was unseen in those 2,000 years had become visible, and they knew it. Well, I thought you'd shout with me. Listen to Jesus. He said to His disciples, when you see these things come to pass, look up. That was the eternal promise maker saying, I'm the eternal promise keeper, and I will be with you even to the end of the age. That's why an old man in his dying hour leaned on the record of God's grace throughout his life. It was the faith of worship. That's the reason I say today, inasmuch as I know I have obeyed the call of God, that's why I have spent my days so that I can stand and say to the next generation, keep the faith, complete our faith. It is the reason I can say, Lord, today, by faith, I bless my children. I bless my grandchildren. I bless my great-grandson. I bless this church. Church, young people, church, Christ Legacy, keep the faith. Keep the faith. Finish the course. Amen. Finish it well.